changed. So if anything, the synergy may be stronger with Tempo Storm, but how they played yesterday, I questioned that a little bit. So hopefully today it's going to be a different kind of team in terms of their communication, their rotations, etc. So I think it's going to be a really close one, but it's going to be really kind of eyes on veins on how he plays here with Gankstars.
Okay, we'll have to see how that is going to pan out. I want to start to talk about the draft a little bit here because, you know, we've just been watching TSM give us a masterclass on Batiste, and we've been talking about how difficult it is to ban them out. These two teams are going to have been watching those games as well. Are we likely to see that Batiste bleed into these games as well, or is that kind of a TSM heavy pick, or is that definitely just open to anyone as a blind pick at this stage?
I think it may be open to more Gankstars than Tempo Storm. Like I would not be surprised to see Xenotech pulling out a Batiste, but I would be fairly surprised to see Hyde pick up the Batiste. We haven't seen it historically. We haven't seen much from Hyde historically aside from the Kestrel, Glaive, and Grumpjaw.
So Baron and Vox taken away to start.
This is so risky. I don't know why they're going to give Grumpjaw over to Tempo Storm here. I don't know. Again, Gankstars
Did they not watch yesterday?
Gankstars has a history. They do the weirdest draft sometimes, and I question it. And 1 out of 10 times it would work, and 9 out of 10 it doesn't. So let's see how this works out here. Grumpjaw is going to be picked, and I think Lance will probably pick the Gankstars because Lance is a good counter to Grumpjaw, and I think ban-wise, I feel like they're probably going to ban Glaive or take the Glaive, or ban Kestrel. Not Kestrel, but ban, like, for example, a strong laner like Idris into what they want to play. So let's see what they decide here. But they definitely need to ban a Dodger or take a Dodger for sure if they're going to pick Lance.
Yeah, we saw what happens when you allow both Grumpjaw and Adagio to go over to Tempo Storm yesterday, and that is going to be the ban. Lyra locked in as well, so no sustain captains available to go with that Grumpjaw.
Yeah, and that's at least a good adaptation to make, but it's still a Grumpjaw going over to Tempo. That's still a very scary possibility. The Krull ban away here from Tempo Storm, that one is a bit strange to me. I mean, your Krull is really strong against sustained damage dealers, not that great against burst damage dealers, so it's a little surprising.
Krull is actually good into Grumpjaw because he can beat Grumpjaw 1v1 along with a Lyra healing the Krull up, and he has kind of the double heal, so Grumpjaw won't be able to out-sustain the Krull. So that's a really smart ban from Tempo Storm. I think from here, they have a lot of options they can pick. For example, Idris, they can even go with Gwen potentially here against Kestrel, because Gwen is good into Kestrel with that Buckshot Bonanza slow, and it reviews her for 2 seconds. They can even go Celeste, honestly, and do a weapon Grumpjaw. That could also work really well for them. So let's see what they decide. But I think for here, Arden, Lance makes sense for them, and then round it out with like a mage carry, a CP laner would be really, really smart, and just weapon power that Grump. But Hyde does a really good, they're going to weapon power that Grump, so they might even weapon power lane the Grump, which is going to be exciting to see if they do that.
Or are they going to go Captain Grump?
They could do that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of options for them right here for Tempo Storm to finish off this compositions, but 2 of their picks so far, typically junglers. I'll be interested to see where they do choose to go with this one. But you've got to be a little bit nervous for this Kestrel with 2 such aggressive, kind of bursty characters coming out from Tempo Storm.
Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity for them if they can get onto the Kestrel to absolutely blow her up. But assuming this goes to Xenotech, because I really don't like a weapon Kestrel at the moment, but Xenotech is one of my favorite Kestrel players. It's really Xenotech and Hyde are probably my personal 2 favorite Kestrel players to watch. I'm the Doom's probably right there at number 3, but it's gonna be he'll know how to play around with this.
Yeah, that Gwen comes out, and Raki can play with they're gonna actually pick Batiste and go weapon Kestrel. Okay, weapon Kestrel into a Gwen and a Koshka and Grump. That's really risky, but you do have Batiste, so long as they engage first, they can win a fight. But then again, Tempo Storm's comp is all about engaging first.
Yeah, and it looks like this Grumpjaw probably going to be going over towards Lost Boy Toph as well. Here are those highlights of Hyde just devastating on the Grumpjaw yesterday. Grumpjaw going over to Tempo Storm again today.
Yeah, likely not quite as relevant with the Grumpjaw going on to Lost Boy Toph. I don't think we're going to be seeing Lost Boy Toph go with a Tension Bow double monocle build.
To be fair though, there's been a few times across the course of today and yesterday where a draft has been picked and we're like, okay, these are the roles, and then they swap them in game and they're not really playing playing the way that you would expect the composition to be played.
I don't think I've ever seen Lost Play Toph play outside the captain role in a competitive game, though. So and he's been playing since the start.
Okay.
So I'm very, very confident this is going to be a captain Grumpjaw.
So final thoughts on the draft then, guys.
I think if Tempo Storm snowballs the early game, they're going to win this, so I'm going to give it to Tempo Storm.
Okay.
However, Baptiste and Kestrel could make something work if they play it right, but I think Tempo Storm got this.
Yeah, I'm going to actually disagree with CJ a bit about what he said, the way the Gankstars composition works, because he's saying if they engage first, they can win. I think they can actually wait for the engage and then disengage with the Baptiste and re-engage, and that will allow the Kestrel the opportunity to get invisible and reposition herself throughout the fight. So I think the counter-engage from Gankstars is going to be what's most important, and as long as they can pull it off properly, then they can take this game.
All right, we have a split desk going into this one. Once again, we want to know what you guys at home think. Use that hashtag Vainglory8. Let us know whether you're on the Tempo Storm side or if you're in the Gankstars camp. We'll find out as we head on into this game and kick off our second semi-final.
Thank you very much, everybody on the desk. My name is George, joined by AJ once again. Second best of three. Gankstars versus Tempo Storm. Gankstars on the red, Tempo Storm on the blue. No more puns, AJ, I promise. I'm not going to put you through that again. Tempo Storm seen as more of the dark horse of, of the Unified Championships. Can they prove that they are one of the top teams in NA right now?
Well, with a composition like this, they've certainly got the power to back up an attempt, but Gankstars, of course, did come second in that very tournament and are a formidable team as well, actually going for a bit of an invade here. Toph's got to be really careful at this point, having to move up towards the lane if he wants to get out of here. Now, I want to talk... Actually, I'm going to wait, because I anticipate some action here. Selena actually rotating around. Toph, what are you doing?
It's probably a good idea you needed to wait there, because Todd just decided to go down there for... almost no apparent reason. Araki Zoro secures the first kill with Vayne's getting an assist. Toph's positioning was so confusing. Hyde actually going fairly low as well. Tried to steal away that Elder Treant. And in fact, they might just find themselves another kill. They do. Vayne's finishes him off with a single basic attack with Xenotech getting the assist. Interesting start from Tempo Storm.
I got nothing here, Juz.
No, I got nothing either.
I feel like that was just simply a massive misplay. I'm kind of going to move on pretending it didn't happen, as honestly Tempo Storm should too. Because that will be the kind of thing that tilts you a little bit later on. Let's talk about the compositions, though. I actually think that probably the most critical element of the composition coming out of Tempo Storm is going to be Koshka. If she can lock someone down, the follow-up's going to be crazy. Hang on, we got to rotate out of Gankstars.
Hang on, we do. That's going to be a nice bright ball. Eldane's going to be there as well. Selena in a lot of trouble. Rakizoro doing a lot of damage with those glimmer shots. Ends up finding his second kill of the game. Selena now going down. At least all of the members of Tempo Storm are at 1 death each, so they can't blame each other for that one. He's going to rotate now. Lost Boy Toph as well. It's just going to help him clear out his jungle. And let's look towards those team fighting mechanics here coming out from both these sides. Because right now, Tempo Storm, they're on the floor right now.
Let's put it this way. Team fighting mechanics better be good from Tempo Storm, because right now their map awareness is non-existent. I mean, they are not really playing around the rotations that someone like Xenotech and Vayne's can make. You know that Lyra is a hero that can go for that exact play and be devastating when she does it. Boss Boy Toph, gotta see some scout traps in inventory. This early in the game, scout traps, honestly, unless you're being proactive, I believe to be much more useful than flares. But he's gone for those flares, which, maybe if he was being proactive, like he moved up earlier on in that first instance, could have been good there. But this is bad news for Tempo Storm. They are over 1,000 gold behind it, nearly 3 minutes into the game against a Baptiste. That is bad mojo. That is bad mojo right there.
That is bad mojo. Yeah, I'll give you that one. Xenotech, I mean, he hasn't got the kills, but he's got the assists, and he's got the ability to kind of free farm at this point without Hyde really being able to do anything. We know Koshka is this early game pressure jungler, but with 2 kills on Araki, it's very easy for him to rotate down, and it's going to be very, very tough now for Hyde to work his way back into the game. Walks on the scout trap, Vayne's in a lot of trouble, does land up bright bulwark. There's going to be a captive camo trap stun, set it up, but it's not going to matter. Hyde's going to go underneath that turret, find the kill, but it's easily going to get traded over by Araki Zoro. Set up, knocked down, and that will be another kill over to the carry.
So, trading your jungler for your enemy's captain when Elder Treant's up and Xenotech's on Baptiste is not a good trade, right? Like, sometimes going in with your jungler and suiciding like that can be worth it. Let's say you've already got a big wave, right? and you're trading like their carry for your jungler, and their captain and jungler are currently on your camps. That's a trade which I might consider taking, because then I get some pressure on the turret, then I get to force the lane in and maybe make the enemy carry lose some farm. There are reasons why you make trades sometimes, right? It's all about figuring out what edge you get in exchange and whether or not that's worth it. Just straight up trading a jungler for a captain and then losing Elder Treant, don't ever want to be the ones to initiate that. That is so much better for Gankstars.
I mean, you could say everything's going Gankstars' way right now. 1,000 gold, like you said, hasn't really been extended, obviously. Just going on the time frame. About a couple of minutes has passed, but Hyde now. You've got to look towards what he's kind of building at this point. We know Lost Boy has got that fountain available. So Tempo are going to be a little bit more sustained in these fights, but Araki, he's going to have that Sora Blade very, very soon. Vaynes has got his own fountain as well. And you got to think, Xenotech, with that Shatter Glass online in a couple of minutes, or at least now, I believe, if he does want to pick it up. Sora Blade being completed by Meraki, in fact, not picking it up just yet. And as soon as those things come online, we saw what Vonti can kind of do with it. The amount of AoE potential that Xenotech's going to have is going to be very, very easy for him to just burst down Hyde.
This is really about as bad as the early game could get for Tempo Storm. They definitely need to figure out a way of getting back into the game, or at the very least, not falling further behind, because their composition with the Gwen and Koshka wants to be in the lead at this point, and they are very much not, at that stage. They're giving Arakizora a lot of time to build items when, Weapon Power Kestrel can actually be quite weak before that first pickup. And they're also giving Xenotech time to not only get his first tier 3 quickly, but he's actually doing something interesting. He's getting a lot of component items that allow him to skirmish well, and that mitigates some of Gankstars' perhaps in intrinsic deficits in these early game fights. You can see they're actually going for one now.
There's a little fight here, yes. Selena actually is going to get trapped in that Ordain. That Bright Bulwark doing a fair bit. Lost Boy going fairly low here. Here comes Fearsome Shade on 3 people. That's where Gankstars want to pull the trigger. Selena's going to have to just skedaddle out of there. Hyde's trying to make a run for it as well. There comes the skedaddle out, but Gankstars setting that one up perfectly. You're not going to want to fight Xenotech in a corridor. Those bad mojos are going to hit 3 people. Glimmer shots are going to hit 3 people as well. An absolute destruction of Lost Boy top results in another kill and a gold mine for Gankstars.
Yeah, Xenotech hitting level 6 as early as he did, absolutely massive. A lot of the times you'll hear people talk about Koshka and they'll be like, man, level 6, just such a huge power spike, like one of the best power spikes in the game for a jungler because of how much it does. It does not work when you're playing against Baptiste. Like, Baptiste is already good against Koshka just by virtue of Ordain canceling out 2 of her abilities and making her spend a lot of time doing nothing. But then you add Fearsome Shade into the mix, like, stack Fearsome Shade up against Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Not comparable in most situations. So, honestly, Tempo Storm have lost the tempo at this point. I think it's getting close to the point, at the very least, it might already be there, where Tempo Storm are relying on Gankstars making a mistake, or Selena hitting her next item power spike, his next item power spike, and maybe killing the front line immediately. But Gankstars, you've got to give them a lot of credit also for being very disciplined. Like, they are building solid defense against the lineup that Tempo has so that they can't be capitalized on. And that's one of the best things you can do in your head. Like, every investment you make into a tier 1 armor or tier 1 shield item gives you like 25% resist. It's huge. It's absolutely huge here for Gankstars. Tempo, I don't envy them this position.
I think many people would envy him right now, AJ. Let's be honest with ourselves. It's going to be an infusion picked up from Hyde. Has obviously picked up the Aftershock as well. A tension bow being completed from Arakizora. It's a lot of straight up burst damage, but so does Hyde. Might want to look for a little fight here, as we do have Selena just pressuring that tier 1 turret. Xenotech, he has that Fearsome Shade. Doesn't want to pull the trigger just yet. Gankstars, you got to say, Vaynes especially just performing so well on this Lyra. Just the ability for her to lay down that Bright Bulwark just gives Arakizora and Xenotech so much room to maneuver in these fights. It's extremely hard for Lost Boy Top to even have an edgeways, even add a word into some of these fights. There's no way he's going to be able to get it stuffed off. Not a Fearsome Shade is going to follow up as well.
We do have an attempt here, though. Selena wants to go in.
A little bit of a fight, and Langley just a little bit behind. There comes the Fishing Shade onto 3 people, though. Ace's side go a little bit wide. Passageways going to get followed through. Heidi's going to get chased out here. Nice fountain used to keep Xenotech alive, and now is Araki Zoro's time to shine. There goes the kitty. She ends up falling, hiding back in her base. Lost Boy Toff looking a little lost underneath that turret. 1 shot, 1 kill goes a little bit wide. But Tempo still playing on the back foot here. No storms are coming for Gankstars just yet, but they're going to push down on this turret in this tier 1 turret.
I really like the use of the Lyra ultimate there. They fear some shade to get the disengage. By the time everyone's ready to like turn around and fight, Tempo's kind of far away. So they just jump on top of them and there's nothing Tempo can do to reposition. It allows Xenotech to get into position to just deal some really solid splash damage very quickly. Honestly, great plays there out of Gankstars, a nice counter engagement. I like what Tempo is trying to do. They did actually have close to a kill onto Xenotech, but with the crowd control coming out from Gankstars, it's not enough right now. We need to see reflex blocks on Selena and Hyde on top of that Crucible from Lost Boy Toff.
It's going to make their jobs and lives a lot easier when they do actually want to pick those items up. The gold lead hasn't really been extended. I was going to kind of talk about it and touch on it a little bit here, but 2,000 gold at 10 minutes into the game isn't massive at all. And Tempo Storm are not out of this just yet by any stretch of the imagination. We've seen what Grumpjaws can do in the later stages of the game if he does manage to get stuffed off on one key target of Gankstars. And at this moment in time, you could say it's literally anybody. Anybody on the side of Gankstars right now is a target for that stuffed ability if he can manage to get one off. I mean, turning that one on to a 2v3 situation is going to make Selena's job a lot easier, High's job a lot easier as well. And then Tempo Storm can maybe looking back to come into the game.
Honestly, I think Toph probably wants to hit Xenotech because the Fearsome Shade and Ordained are both really good. Plus, given the build that Xenotech is going, it's actually even better to eat him because if you don't, going for a Clockwork means that he's getting abilities off more and more frequently. So it's going to be more punishing on the effect that he has in the fight by virtue of that. But Gankstars, you know, I like this. They're making a lot of very small rotations back and forth from the lane to really stop Tempo from finding any pressure onto the turret and actually stopping them from being able to farm in relative safety too. I like that they're not making big sweeping rotations, looking for things that are just a little bit too aggressive. You know, they're not moving back onto the Crystal Sentry, for example. They're just playing it quite smartly. Infusion's picked up across the board here. That does signal we might see a fight soon.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. Ordained is going to come out, but it is going to get blocked. Bright Bulwark's going to stop the engage, but nom, says Lost Boy. He finds one. The Fearsome Shade's going to come out. He's actually just going to die as soon as he spits out Veins. Araki Zoro finds the kill with the 1 shot, 1 kill. Named, mind you. Gankstars now pushing a lot of pressure down to this tier 1 turret. That's going to fall soon. Hide in amongst 3 people. That's not where you want to be. Bad Mojo finishes off that turret, and now Gankstars have a way into the jungle of Tempo Storm.
There are a lot of compositions where you want to use Stuffed on a captain. Honestly, this is not one of them. When you're against a 2 captain or 2 supportive hero composition, then using Stuffed on one of them can make it so that there's not enough damage to kill anyone on your side. And, although, hang on, Xenotech.
Hang on a second, Hide's in a lot of trouble. Did get the stun from Preordain. Or not Preordain, it's more very active Ordain. That's going to Fearsome Shade as well to back Storm straight off of that gold mine, enabling the secure for Gankstars. Treads is being picked up here as well for Veins, just to get that engage and disengage potential. Selena taking a massive stun, a massive Mojo, and that will be him falling. Lost Boy Tov is going to get chased out as well. Araki Zoro managing to pick up the 2-piece. Hyde all alone right now for Tempo Storm. Ridiculous is Araki, 7-0. And now they're going to push down this lane, and that tier 2 turret is looking all too juicy for Gankstars.
Not 100% sure if Gankstars had vision on Hyde there, but the turn was perfect as a result of Hyde actually moving very far away from his team and going for those forward camps, not able to back them up. Plus, Vayne is just buying that War Treads. If Tempo didn't register that quickly enough, they were never going to know that that turn could happen so quickly. Man, there's too much action in this game for me to get all my points in edgewise.
Nope, not at all. Unfortunately, AJ, that's not your job today. Your job is to sit, watch, and wait for Gankstars to just aggress on Tempo Storm. That was a beautiful solo kill, by the way, from Araki. Just managing to block the Yummy Catnip Frenzy and get it on top of Koshka very quickly.
I didn't catch that, but I feel like based on Selena's move there, the reflex block might have been on cooldown right when that Ordain was thrown out and just came up towards the end. Either that or it was very slow reaction, so I'm going to give Selena the benefit of the doubt. But, you know, under normal circumstances, Jaws, I would love this. I normally do play-by-play. But today, I want to get some color in. Too much fighting. Here we go again.
Well, you're trying. Here's another fight. Hang on a minute. Lost Boy Top trying to find a one kill. That turret is going to go down to a bad mojo. Xenotech very low. Fearsome Shade out onto the Koshka. Hyde's going to have to run away at this point. Lost Boy Top in the front line as well. Very, very tanky, but cannot do anything. Bad mojo just to slow him down. Lost Boy Top just trying at least to get more damage off onto Gankstars. But like you mentioned earlier, that Fearsome Shade just seems straight busted right now in this composition.
Absolutely. It does so much work, and it's really difficult for Storm to play around. Maybe you get like a second Crucible, like Koshka. Why not? At this point, you just need to deal with the ridiculous amounts of crowd control.
Second Crucible. Man, that's not something I've heard anyone say, especially on a Koshka. Now, Tempo, will they be able to take this turret? Xenotech on the sidelines here. They do manage to take it down, but Selena's on the side. Doesn't get blocked from the block come through on the preordained, but is it going to matter at all? That Passageway is going to get followed through, but to his doom. Double kill for Xenotech. That Ordained just doing so much work, locking down Selena, and his life just being ended. And Hyde once more, the last member alive for Tempo Storm, has to just run it away. Scaredy cat. That joke's been made a million times as well, but I'm going to make it again.
All right, well, this is a great spot for Gankstars. We haven't really touched on the overall game state in a while because there's been so many like micro things to focus on, but 13-1 and a nearly 6,000 gold lead, actually over 6,000 gold lead for Gankstars is really indicative of just how much they've been dominating Tempo Storm here. A little while ago, I think Tempo Storm was probably starting to think about next game. When you've got a composition as strong as Grumpjaw, Koshka, and Gwen, and you get crushed this hard, you've got to look towards your early game, right? That was obviously big here. You've also got to look towards Baptiste, because that has been probably the most influential pick on the side of Gankstars, and it has been a big storyline for 2.5 overall towards the end of this. You know, I'm actually somewhat sad we're moving to 2.6, because 2.5 continues to grow and evolve. Like, this update has been really great for competitive play in Vainglory, but here we go. Tempo, they're trying to make some kind of last-ditch effort here.
Oh, Vanes gets eaten once more. He's going to use that Hungry to get back, but Selena just gets obliterated. Lost Boy Top just couldn't find anything there. Passageway is going to find Hyde, and Hyde just zips straight back through it. But you know what? Gankstars, they haven't got their eyes on that kitty cat. They got their eyes on that Kraken. He's just going to get annihilated as well. Those bad mojos. Chunking, I'd say about a fifth of his health each time he chucks one out. That's a good 500-600 damage. That's going to get taken. It's going to get unleashed. 1-15. And it's going to be Gankstars' game, I can imagine.
Can't take anything away from Toph from trying to make these plays. I got mad respect for the guy for, in these really dire situations, just going for it. But honestly, using Stuffed on Lyra in this series is almost worse than not using it at all. Baptiste, all he needs to do is Ordained the Grumpjaw, and the Grumpjaw cannot try and take Lyra to a place where they can just burst her as she gets out. Even if they do, Arcane Passage is going to come through right afterwards. And if they stay in the fight, the damage dealers are still up. They're going to just absolutely annihilate any member of Tempo Storm on the front line. Here comes the Kraken push. Gankstars want to end this right now.
That they do. Tempo, have they got anything to deal with it? At the moment, it looks like no. See if Xenotech has got anything else to say about those bad mojos. Hitting like a ton of bricks. About 700 damage per vial now. It goes for another engage. Walker's going to come down. Selena with a massive buckshot, but is it going to be enough? That Fearsome Shade stunning up 3 people. Hyde's going to have to run away now. 1 kill already gets taken by Araki Zoro. Passageway leading to Hyde's doom almost once again. Selena in the front line. That Kraken just wailing on those turrets. This is going to be it. This is going to be game over. Araki takes another kill, adds another notch to his belt. Hyde falls again, and that'll be an ace for Gankstars. That'll be game number 1 going over to them as well.
Wow, that was a very convincing performance, Jaws. Gankstars look real good. Of course, both these teams had the opportunity to play the former world champions on Friday, and they've clearly taken some things away from that. But Gankstars are the one, I think, with the firmer grasp on the really strong heroes in this update, because Baptiste, in my opinion, absolutely the best hero on 2.5, based on what we've seen here today. So moving into game 2, pick and ban is going to be critical for Tempo Storm.
That it is. We'll see what they do want to change up in their pick and ban strategy, but break that down a little bit more. We've got Joe. You guys can take it away now.
Thank you very much, guys. 12-0-5. The weapon power Kestrel for Araki Zoro doing some serious work in that game. And I mean, it's not like he was the only one doing well, but that scoreline was insanely good. 5,000 gold lead on anyone else in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how we're not crazy about the weapon power Kestrel. It looked like, I don't know, maybe Tempo Storm just forgot about how to play against the weapon power Kestrel because there were so many mistakes coming out from Tempo Storm that allowed Iraqi Zoro to just have that crazy scoreline.
Yeah, and the rotation from Tempo Storm, they gave 3 kills away so easily in under 2 minutes, and they have an early game composition. I mean, this is the most important part about rotations. You have to stick together. Gankstars, it tends to do the early game invades that they do, and then from there, they just kind of snowball it and make opportunities off the mistakes that their opponents do. And look at the miscommunication. They're not timing their ults together. Koshka never took advantage of her level 6 power spike. Lost Boy Toph, didn't use his eats very effectively, and he didn't fountain. There's 2 times where he died and just did not fountain at all. So it was a lot of kind of misplays from them, but from great plays from Gankstars. They knew exactly what they want to do, who to focus, how their composition worked, and everything. So kudos to Gankstars for really taking this game away.
Yeah, and I mean, across a lot of these fights, you could see Iraqi Zoro was able to just sit at the back, just pumping out damage because they had Xenotech on the Batiste, who was kind of soaking up the aggro, as it were. He was on that front line, dishing out the damage himself, but also being that focus target, so Iraqi could just do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, and again, this was a composition. It was a very squishy composition coming out from a Tempo Storm. Grumpjaw is the only one that's even kind of tanky. And they had a very heavy, aggressive, engage composition, and they never really did. They were always on the back foot, always retreating. I don't know. I didn't really like the Koshka play from Hyde. Even yesterday, the game that they won with the Koshka, wasn't a big fan of the Koshka. I think it's one of the situations, we've seen it with other teams before, with other heroes. You have one of the best Grumpjaw players. Why are you drafting Grumpjaw and not giving it to one of the best Grumpjaw players? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me in the draft.
Yeah, and they beat Baptiste when they played against Echofox, or was it NRG, I believe. Echofox. They beat Baptiste with Grumpjaw. Weapon Grumpjaw blows Baptiste up. So why are they not doing a carry? And Toph's, no offense to Toph, but his Grumpjaw is really bad as a captain. So I don't recommend they even try this again. If they get Grumpjaw, give it to Hyde and let him play as a weapon carry, please.
Yeah, I've got to say, I was also very taken aback when they didn't put that in the jungle. Let's start talking about this next draft that's going to be coming up in a second. First of all, do we think Grumpjaw is actually going to make it through the draft again? I mean, if so, you'd assume it's actually going to go into the jungle this time around.
I think so. Historically, Gankstars has let Koshka gone through the draft multiple times last season when they played against Hammers and they got destroyed by Tigers on Koshka. So I feel like Gankstars is confident against Grumpjaw and they will let it through again, I feel.
At the same time, though, Gankstars are on A side. Gankstars plays Grumpjaw. So
yeah, you're right.
if it goes through the bans, I don't think it ends up getting all the way to Tempo Storm because Gankstars are very like to take it themselves.
Yeah, Xenotech does love those aggressive junglers. Love to try and take control of the game. But let's find out how it's going to happen as it appears on our screens. It is going to be Baron banned away as the first ban of the game once again.
They're going to ban Fox because yesterday they banned actually Glaive on both sides actually and didn't even ban Grumpjaw. So Grumpjaw is going to be open. So let's see if Gankstars does pick, or maybe they're going to pick that Baptiste, and so that Tempo Storm does not ban Baptiste against them. So let's see if they're going to switch it up, or they're just going to take the Lyra or Grump right off the bat here.
We'll see what the option is going to be. A lot of available picks for this starting point. Captains have been generally a good fallback, but across the course of today, we've seen a lot of very strange first picks. So definitely a lot on the table.
Yeah, let's see what they're going to decide here. Yesterday, Gankstars banned Vox, then Idris. They picked Baron, then Lance, then Taka. So Lance could be picked up for Vaynes potentially here, but I feel like Grumpjaw is such a tasty pick. So they're going to actually go with the Lyra here, and that leaves Grumpjaw open. So I think Tempo Storm should take Grumpjaw and then ban away the Baptiste here if they don't want to play it. Or if they want to play against Baptiste, just go weapon Grumpjaw, and then that would work even better. So let's see what Tempo Storm is going to decide on this B side.
Quite a lot still open, but you've got to assume it's the Grump. It seems odd that both teams would not go for that Grumpjaw within this first rotation.
I'm almost wondering if they're just hesitant to go for the Grumpjaw as a carry if they don't have the Lyra or the Adagio to pair with it. That's the only reason I could really think of them being hesitant to grab it, and they're not going to pick it up. They're going to go for the Glaive instead. This is another hero that he is very strong on the side of Hyde. He plays a lot of the Glaive. It's the Glaive, Kestrel, Grumpjaw were the 3 core heroes for him.
Now Batiste being banned away once again. That one's starting to become very much a staple in every draft that we see at this stage. Now Gankstars, they have to ban something away as well. I mean, is there a chance that we see the Grumpjaw again going over to top and Tempo just saying, like, maybe this just didn't work one time?
Maybe they should ban, they probably might ban Lance here potentially, or Grumpjaw, so let's see. One of those, I think those are the most obvious, but maybe Gangsters may surprise and do another ban based on their draft strategy here. But I think Lance or, Adagio is banned actually, so I actually like that because Weapon Glaive is really strong with Adagio. So I think that this is a good ban by Gankstars, and that's going to leave open Lance for Tempo Storm, because Lance is good into Lyra. It's more of a kind of a skill matchup. So let's see if Tempo Storm is going to go with that Lyra or give Grumpjaw over to Gankstars, because Grumpjaw Lyra is really strong.
He certainly is. Well, 35 seconds of bonus time remaining for Tempo Storm, and a plethora of heroes available for them. Still got a couple of roles to lock in. Going up against this Lyra, is there anything that you think, this is assuming that Glaive doesn't go into the captain role himself. What kind of captains will we be looking at? Oh, the question is going to be answered for me. Lance will be the lock-in.
I was going to say either Lance or Arden, but it is going to be the Lance. So now for Gankstars, where are they going to go with the lane and the jungle? I mean, there's plenty of choices. You have Black Feather potentially. Grumpjaw is going to be picked up. So, again, a little surprised to see it go through this late in the draft, but it does come through. Very likely going to be in the hands of Xenotech. And so now their lane selection, I mean, again, you got something like Gwen.
Potentially Gwen, yeah, because Gwen is good into Glaive and Lance. But, there goes Kestrel again. Woo!
All right.
Raki likes his Tension Bow Kestrel. What can I say? He plays it very well. So let's see how this is going to work. But Glaive Lance is the extreme counter into Kestrel, actually. So, but as long as Tempo Storm plays well, rotates well, and executes, they can potentially make this work. So let's see.
So the question now is, if Kestrel goes into lane, you'd assume it's weapon power, and Grumpjaw in the jungle, you assume is weapon power. Will one of them just swap to CP just for the sake of spreading damage?
Grumpjaw is going to very likely go CP. It's the utility CP Grumpjaw. This was the Grumpjaw that became so powerful in London and leading up to London, was the Crystal Power utility Grumpjaw with the going Stormcrown Aftershock, getting that hangry on such a short cooldown, as well as the stuffed gets to about a 20-second cooldown or something like that. It's within that ballpark, so it's a very, very powerful build path still. For Tempo Storm, I'm not really... Again, they have such a strong counter to the Kestrel. I think all they really need to do is just figure out something that can deal with a Grumpjaw and with that crazy cooldown reduction. And, well, Sky, they're going to hope to dance around the Grumpjaw, it looks like.
Yeah, looking to just try and dodge around this one. Sky's certainly going to have a bulky front line right in front of her to try and protect her. Whether or not she'll be able to survive these fights is a different question. Now, we've seen both full compositions here. How are we feeling about this one? Is Gankstars going to push this to a 2-0?
I think so, based on their synergy and the rotations. Just objective and shot calling just superior right now, I feel. However, Tempo could take it away if they get to late game and Sky gets her 3 items. Sky is going to beat Grumpjaw late game once she has those 3 items and Lance protecting her.
I'm actually very curious as to where the Sky and Glaive are going to go, if it's going to be a lane Glaive or a lane Sky. I'm hoping it's going to be the lane Glaive, and if it is, I think Tempo Storm does have the advantage from the draft. But like SweetJ said, just the synergy and the cohesiveness of Gankstars, it looks to be on point right now.
I do want to just quickly delve a little bit deeper into this Sky pick here, because SweetJ, you mentioned how Sky will kind of outscale Grumpjaw in the late game. How does she match up against that Kestrel in the late game, though?
Yeah, she's actually really good as well. As long as she can land the 4 barrage first and get the Frostburn effect on it, that's going to slow Kestrel down. Lance can root her, and then Glaive can just go in and just clean up. So Sky can work really well in this composition, because Sky is also good into Lyra. Lyra is not a good front line. They have 0 front line, and because she does tick damage against Grumpjaw, she can get rid of his living armor stacks like very quickly.
All right, so Grumpjaw won't be able to last very long either. We are just waiting for one of the players before we can jump straight on into this game. So, for Tempo Storm, they've lost out in that first game of this series. According to you guys, you're confident that Gankstars are going to be taking this one as well. However, what can Tempo Storm do to pull themselves back into this series? What were they doing wrong last game?
Honestly, last game, a lot of it was the composition as well as just the lack of cohesiveness. If they just play together as a unit like we've seen them do in the past, they should win this game. Like, they have the better draft. They have the tools to win this game. It's just from what we just saw in that last game, they don't have the actual in-game cohesiveness to do it. So if they just fix that in the matter of this last like 5 minutes, then I think this game will actually go to tempo.
Yeah, and I think Toph is going to play better with Lance. I was really hard with him on the Grumpjaw captain in the last game, but I feel like with Lance, he's much more proficient, very good on Lance, and I feel like as long as they rotate together and put these combos in place together, they're going to do really, really well.
All right, so we're feeling a little bit more comfortable about them now that they've got some more comfort picks like the Lance, for example, and if they can be more cohesive as a unit, if they can build that synergy a little bit more, then they should be okay going on into this one. Now, don't forget, guys, at home, you can all get involved on social media as well. Hashtag Vainglory8 is the place to go on Twitter to get involved in the conversation. We want you to be tweeting with your predictions, who you're supporting in these series, but we also want you to be tweeting at the other people using the hashtag. We want to see the conversation on the go. We're going to be getting involved in the conversations as well during the game. We want to see what the community thinks of the players, thinks of the teams, and who you think is going to be making it to the finals today. Gankstars certainly looking good coming on into this one. We do just have to wait another couple of minutes before we can kick this game off. We are just waiting for a player. Oh, I've just been updated now by production. We are good to go. So we can throw it over to our casters to kick off the second game of this second semi-final.
Thank you very much, Munch, Sweejay, and Bacon. Game number 2, Gankstars versus Tempo Storm. Can Gankstars pull this one through to a 2-0 victory and meet TSM in the final? Will Tempo Storm clouds up ahead and just make sure there are no stars in the sky?
Well, certainly Gankstars had a very convincing performance in Game 1, regardless of any compositional advantages they may or may not have had. They played very well, so Tempo Storm does need to be on their best form in this game number 2 if they want to really compete. I'm excited to see Lost Boy Toph back on something we've seen him on previously, because that Grumpjaw, Sujay said it a little bit more firmly than I would have, but it did not go so well for him. And, you know, Tempo Storm, they need to have that playmaker in Lost Boy Toph have a strong performance, I think, to really hold the team together as a whole. See Hyde is on the back line here. Selena can't steal away that camp. That does give Gankstars a nice little boon in the early game here.
Yeah, that it does. And Hyde, actually, I want to pick up on this one. The Sky, yet again, being picked up in that jungle position. Just get a really early back off here, actually, to buy. Boots and a flare as well, so he's going to be a little bit more mobile. Now Xenotech over on this Grumpjaw in the jungle this time. There's been a lot of role swaps for this Grumpjaw. Does it work better in Captain? Does it work better as a jungle hero? And for the moment, I mean, Xenotech has just been showing such prowess on it last season. I mean, you got to put it in his book that he's probably one of the best Grumpjaw jungles at the moment.
He is very, very strong. Xenotech, a scary jungler to go against on any hero, to be honest. Gankstars, interesting rotations there. They went for the entire of the jungle together, and now they're looking to actually find some damage in the lane. They certainly have a composition that, with that Grumpjaw, can do things early on if they find the opportunity. Currently, the wave frozen a little bit by that one minion, was about to break onto the turret. Oh man, doesn't quite reach it actually. So Gankstars, they can control this wave really nicely against Selena. That might be a nice opportunity for them to get some harassment down. See if they go for that.
See if they can. The wave's actually frozen quite nicely, like you mentioned. So Araki's going to have a little bit of an easier time now. Selena having to walk up to these minions is going to be able to push out. So that wave's actually going to crash. Oh no, it's not. I tell a lie.
Just the one.
It's not at all.
Did
just
lose
about.
the one, but it was just the one. All right, it's going to be going over to Hyde down there. The Elder Treant, a nice pickup for Tempo. Makes up for a little bit of what happened earlier on with the front camp being stolen away. In fact, Tempo Storm have a slight gold advantage as a result of that. I like the fact that they're being kind of aggressive here. You know, if they find an Impale, it's really easy to land forward barrage. You've got 2 crystal bits. It's going to be a lot of damage. And, ooh, Rakizoro dodging out of there at the last second.
Yeah, he didn't want to be in there for all too long. Not with Selena, and Lost Boy Toph able to set up a kill very nicely. And maybe that one going over to Hyde if he's not too careful. Selena now, he's made one back. And it looks like Lost Boy is going to go back as well. I haven't reached that 4-minute mark, so no shop down in that bottom side of the map just yet. And now Xenotech going fairly aggressive. It's going to steal a little bit of jungle away from the side of Tempo Storm. And that does mean Gankstars now are going to have this lane pushing advantage. And you got to think, you got to imagine, Araki Zoro once again on this Kestrel pick. 12-0 last game. Didn't die a single time. And the amount of pressure his team was able to output, no one on his team needed to do damage. He was there just to output as much as possible. And you got to think, Xenotech now on a very, very different hero, a very playmaking potential hero in this Grumpjaw, and it's going to be a bit of a tough situation for Selena and Hyde if they do manage to get stuck.
Yeah, but that being said, this put more onus onto Xenotech to really play these fights perfectly. I feel like Baptiste is a hero that has kind of a forgiving nature to his kit, right? Like his Ordained is so powerful and it's a targeted ability. You just push it on him and bam. Whereas when you're playing Xenotech, you really need to, like, for example, stutter step very effectively. You have a crazy high attack speed. If you do it wrong, you're missing out on a lot of damage. So I do think it probably takes a little bit more for Xenotech to play this well. And similarly, it takes a little bit more from his teammates to set him up for success and also be on the same page enough to back him up when they go in for engagements. Nice route onto Araki Zoro.
Man, speaking about setting up for success, Vane's here, but look on the sidelines. Xenotech is also here. He's arrived. He's got that tension burst. A lot of burst damage coming out from him. As soon as he lands that hangry, it can be very, very tough to just escape these small engagements. But Hyde and Selena are going to be all right. They've got a little bit of mobility on their side with that Suri Strike and the Afterburn. But Tension Bow, such an early game power spike. Xenotech is going to find Selena here, and the Lost Boy Toth. Vane's is coming down for the roam. But Selena finishing that poison ship is going to be a nice little power spike for him. Sustainability in the lane is also very, very important, and applying that mortal wound as well is going to reduce a lot of that healing coming out from Vane's.
So a few things worth noting here. We do have power spikes being picked up. Xenotech now has a Tension Bow, which of course is great on that Grumpjaw for when he jumps in and just bursts someone down. Also important to note, though, is how close our two junglers are getting to level 6. They're both very, very close. Until a second ago, Hyde was actually in the lead in that race. Whoever hits it first has the ability to set up plays a little bit earlier than their opponents. Certainly Hyde, yeah, there we go, is going to hit that now and immediately walks up to the lane. He's flared out, however, so he's not going to be able to easily get in. Nice attempt, though.
Yeah, nice attempt. Always worth trying, Lost Boy. Taking a hangry and a Tension Bow proc to the chops. Does end up backing off. Does get a nice 2-man impale as well, and Hyde's going to get a little bit of damage with that forward barrage. But other than that, Xenotech, you've got to watch him now. He's got that stuff available. He's got the clockwork for the cooldown, like you mentioned. He's going to be doing a fair bit of damage, and he's going to want to get in and out as fast as possible. But no, Tempo, they are more the wiser, and they do end up backing off of that one. And one little interaction that I've been kind of thinking about, mulling over in my head, AJ, is the fact that Hyde can lay down the more defensive Death from Above in order to stop Xenotech actually fully taking someone completely out of the fight, which is quite interesting to think about. You'd normally say, okay, so you're going to want to use that Death from Above to engage on, just to maybe try and pick Araki's or on the backline, trying to stop Xenotech delivering maybe, you know, Selena or Lost Boy Toth to their turret could also be an option for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting game for Xenotech. Oh, man, that's a lot of damage. Bye-bye, Hyde.
Oh, uh-oh. Yeah, Pug. Oh, he's got him in his belly, and Hyde's dead. All right, okay, see you later. I told you, man, Tension Bow really just hammering home. Xenotech will find the solo kill, and that'll be first blood as well.
The thing is, against the comp that he's facing, Xenotech, hang on a second, got more damage coming down from Selena here. I don't really think they want to fight this, though.
No, Crystal Sentry's going to be there, and that will mean Pugjaw will just waddle away to that first tier turret.
This is one of the strongest things about Grumpjaw. Honestly, the turret-taking ability really ramps your gold up in the early game very quickly. Hyde is back, though. Maybe Tempo want to set something up. Selena, not level 6 yet, is falling a little bit behind Araki Zoro. Xeno, he might just go back in.
A damage. I think they're going to. I mean, Selena's going to come there. There's the defensive Suri Strike coming in. Selena is going to reposition Araki Zoro. Nice Githian wall as well. Bane's going very low. Araki Zoro has to retreat, but the fountain is going to come out and save his life and return the kill onto Selena. And now Xenotech has Heaton Hyde, and Hyde gets delivered straight to his turret, straight to the leaderboard, or the scoreboard even. Lost Boy Toth, captain versus a captain in the carry. It's not going to go well for him, and that's going to be an ace for Gankstars.
This is sort of premature from Tempo Storm to think that they can fight. Grouping up as 3 people and moving right next to the enemy mustache push is not a good idea if you know that Grumpjaw is waiting in the wings, right? And they did see him pretty soon before that. One thing that I've been wanting to highlight for a while, and it just hasn't been relevant, which sort of speaks to Tempo Storm not necessarily being aware of what they're strong in this game, is that Grumpjaw should have a tough time making stuff work for him in this game. You have crowd control in some form on every member of Tempo Storm. If Grumpjaw goes in with stuffed, Death from Above comes down, Aftershock knocks the person out of their belly, Githian Wall comes through, and Pale stops him from running away with the target. Like, there's a lot of ways to mitigate that effect, but it's just not happening because he's getting these isolated targets, and here comes what could be another fight.
Oh, he's hunting, but he does actually miss the stuff there, but it's not going to matter. He did actually pick up Aftershock as well, so look at that burst damage. Selena going really low. He's going to have to reposition with the Afterburn. Lostboytoff's going to go back in, though. Nice two-man Impale, but just sacrifices himself for it. That'll be a kill going over to Araki Zoro. Go. Infusion picked up from him as well, so you know he wanted to fight. So now Gankstars are going to put a lot of those minions straight onto that turret. A lot of damage too. Speaking of damage, there goes Selena. Falls down to the ground. That will be another kill for Gankstars. Now it's Hyde in a 1v3 situation. That turret not long left for the world. And AJ, I had a nightmare last night about this very moment. And a Grumpjaw taking a turret, and it's not pretty. Hyde does manage to Surish strike back to Lostboytoff. But that is going to be another turret down for Tempo Storm, and Gankstars just extending their lead.
They are, but we've got some reinforcements from Tempo Storm coming in. Xeno wants Hyde, though.
Oh, Hyde's going to die. Xenotech's going to chase him up. But will he be able to find the executing bow? He does. Selena's going to be there to at least trade that one up. Meanwhile, Lostboytoff did fall to Vanes and Araki Zoro. And I've got to say, Xenotech looks scary, especially when he's half health in the bush and can 100-0 Hyde in a couple of basic attacks.
You know, we've been talking a lot about Xenotech, and I think it's perfectly reasonable to be doing that. He is very, very strong in this game and making a lot of plays, but I want to mention Araki Zoro here too. Weapon power Kestrel is not something we see a huge amount. It's not something that was frequently very effective in past updates, but he's making it really work for himself in this game, and part of the reason why that's happening is the amount of space Xenotech's creating, but you can't argue with the results and the fact that Araki Zoro is making the most of that space. 5 kills to 0. He is doing so much burst damage. Anyone miss positions, they're getting hit by a tension bow glimmer shot. Look at that burst damage. Selena.
Speaking of mispositioning, oh my goodness, Selena takes almost all of his health bar. Hyde is going to get, well, Vanes is going to deliver his entire team to Hyde, and they also find the kill onto Lost Boy. I mean, you're saying this might be a hard game for Xenotech, but my goodness, AJ, he's making it look easy. Look at him now, hunting for Selena. That pug. Very, very dangerous. You don't normally see a pug being very dangerous tied to a dog, but hey, Grumpmore, you know, he is extremely dangerous right now. And Grumpjaw is what I was trying to find. I was trying to string pug in there somewhere. It didn't really happen. Pugjaw is what I was trying to find. But now, Gankstars 10-1, only dropping 1 kill again. They're 6k gold lead as well. That gold mine is going to go down, and that's going to stretch even further.
Anytime you're looking at compositions, you can say in a vacuum what you expect to happen, but it's all based on the play in the game. We saw that last game with 3 kills going very quickly to Gankstars. Everything game plan-wise kind of devolved for Tempo Storm. We're seeing something similar here, to be honest. They've given away too many free kills to the point where even when they play appropriately around what Xenotech can bring to the table, he's too tanky and he deals too much damage. Like, there's just too much of a gold disparity. Now it's 7,000, roughly, between these teams, for that game plan to work anymore. The Tempo Storm, they got to do other things. They got to try and farm. They got to try and play safe. And they really need to use Hyde as a hope factor here, but here comes the fight.
Well, playing safe is exactly what they are not doing at all. That Fountain's going to save Lostboytoff for the moment. Selena in the backline trying to deal with Araki Zoro, but Araki Zoro is mighty handily dealing with him. Xenotech will find the kill on to Lost Boy. And that will be Selena just chasing down Vanes, but Xenotech's going to be here. He's got the hanger, he hasn't got the stuff, but doesn't seem to need it. He follows Selena over the wall. Selena does get the afterburn away. Hyde actually just gets 1v1'd by Araki, almost falls, ends up walking away from that fight. Araki Zoro on a blinking health bar as well, actually just ends up trading. Shut down, comes through onto Araki. Finds his first kill in this best of 3, first death in this best of 3. But you got to say, Gankstars right now, they are looking to just close this game out once more.
Tempo Storm is showing a real weakness here in terms of what teams can exploit against them. I mean, arguably, it's kind of hard to say this, but you know, when they are behind, they don't seem to have the ability to just sort of sit back and play safe. Lostboytoff was standing there getting absolutely dominated in the fight, and his teammates weren't backing him up, so it wasn't a play that the whole team was on the same page on, right? But alternatively, they would have needed to just not have Lost Boy there and just backed up and farmed. So they're not on the same page. They're doing some weird stuff here. Gankstars is capitalizing on every mistake perfectly. It's such a tough spot for Tempo Storm. They need a miracle to come back in this game.
They do. Can they find that miracle? Or will the stars shine bright tonight? That's what Xenotech wants. He is going to get Gideon walled. That will mean no advancement for him. But Lost Boy Toph, he is on this Lance pick. And you mentioned earlier, and SweetJ and Bacon said on the desk, the amount of disengage and the amount of CC that they have, it's going to be very easy for them to lock down Araki, lock down Xenotech, but that's not what's happening. As you can see, they are just running rampant right now. Xenotech's going to come through, is going to find the stuff, but is going to get blocked by Lost Boy. They're going to push this minion wave into this turret, and that will be possibly another turret falling on the side of Tempo. Lost Boy Toph, get out of there, buddy. You cannot stand those glimmer shot damage. And they are going to lose their base turrets now. And AJ, you got to kind of feel sorry for Tempo. They were seen as this dark horse, but just falling at this last hurdle to Gankstars.
They really have, and maybe they just need to revisit some of their game plans moving into the next week. They've certainly been taught a lesson, I think, about some of the powerful picks on this update, but here comes a good opportunity.
Here comes another fight. Here comes a good opportunity. Selena almost going down instantaneously. Death from above is going to lock up Xenotech. Lost Boy Toph on the run. It gets taken out first. Hyde and Selena making it out there alive. One shot, one kill. Strikes him. 764 damage apparently is not enough. Araki Zora, you're not quite there. You're not quite one-shottable yet. You have to get a couple more items under your belt. And speaking of items, we haven't really touched on it all too much. He's got 4 offensives, 1 reflex block, and tier 1 boots still. Goldmine is going to go over. That's going to be the last one of the game. That Kraken is spawning in about 20 seconds time as well.
Yeah, and Gankstars certainly have their eyes set on that objective. It's almost impossible for Tempo Storm to contest it. Maybe they can look for the hero steal, but if they don't get anything off the back of it, that might just end up being worse for them, because it just means that Gankstars look towards their base, and I think they can take it right now. On top of that, unless they get kills from the Kraken steal, unless they make something happen off the back of it, it's just going to end up in 500 gold going the way of Gankstars, so that doesn't really do much either. Tempo Storm, they got to play for a much later game here.
Xenotech found Selena once more. Death from Above comes down. Very defensively used this. Xenotech's in the front line. 2v1 in this current situation actually completely solos out Selena. Almost falls to the Crystal Sentry. Hyde still kiting back. Xenotech re-enters the fight. He finds a double kill. Triple kill almost went over to him, but Araki Zoro steals it away at the last second. Sentry eliminated to boot. And Gankstars shining through on this day with Tempo Storm. Their clouds are just floating away.
Yeah, this is a really strong performance, not just this game, but the whole series from Gankstars. 40,000 gold accrued in almost 16 minutes. That's honestly a figure you don't talk about at that point in the game very frequently. They've got a free crack at this Kraken. No one is in position to really contest this or attempt to steal it. Selena's got to defend base turrets because the remaining 2 have just... they're going to go down so easily. It's almost difficult to analyze at this point what Tempo Storm could possibly do. It relies so much on mispositioning and misplays from Gankstars.
I think it relies on Araki Zoro going baller and just going 1v3, but I don't think that's going to happen, especially not when Xenotech's on the field and on the team. He bumps into 2. Lost Boy Toph is going to be the target first. Death from Above does come down, and now the Kraken is still marching down on this lane. Selena is going to get jumped on, but Hyde is going to have to just retreat almost instantaneously. Xenotech almost falls, but the first casualty is going to be Lost Boy. That kiting back from Hyde is going to be massive. Selena, that last basic attack from Veins almost finishes him off. 1 shot, 1 kill. Will end up missing Hyde, almost striking him, but Xenotech almost finds him there. Flare spotting him out, but he does manage to get the recall off. And now Selena running for his life as Xenotech just chasing after him. They have to deal with that Kraken at some point in the game, and that time is going to be now. Xenotech just wants to end it right this very second, however. Hyde just using that forward barrage, almost takes out Xenotech, but he's got the mobility, he's got the damage, and he's got the Kraken. Ends up falling, but that Kraken at least taking 1 turret for his troubles.
Alright, that might have been a little bit audacious, talking about mistakes Gankstars could possibly have made here, but are they going to be able to get more as the Kraken is still quite healthy?
Still quite healthy and still quite chipping away on those turrets. Araki Zoro is going to get stunned up by Selena. Almost goes down to the ult as well, but just ends up walking away nice and cleanly. Lost Boy top is one auto attack away from going down. Araki Zoro finds it. Hyde is going to be next. His disdain coming out from Vanes was just all too much for him to handle. Vanes and Araki will finish off the game, finish off the series. And what a dominating performance from Gankstars. They came second in the Unified Championships, and now is their time to meet TSM in the finals of week number 1.
And Gankstars, they look really, I mean, seriously on another level right now. Vanes has been a great addition to the lineup. Xenotech and Araki have not managed to fall at all in their performance. They haven't weakened over time. I'm excited to see the finals, Jaws.
Absolutely, and you said that game's kind of hard to analyze, but I know 3 good men that will do that job for us just as good as we would. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you in a second. And Munch, you guys can take it away now.
Thank you very much, guys. And what a lead Gankstars had. That wasn't just a win. That was domination coming out right there. And Xenotech at the end proving that with a gold lead that big, it's almost impossible to throw.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying the draft was better from Tempo Storm this time, but it was the cohesiveness and the